All right. All right. Well, I feel like for the first time in a little while, we don't have a big medical report to give to you guys. So obviously, we got it's the middle of an NFL season. There's plenty of maintenance and all that stuff, but anticipate what we ended that game should look the same way going into this one. So I'll just open up for questions.
Just on the medical side of that, is that something that you kind of have experienced over your time? That early season, there are some of those nicks, bumps, and bruises, and then it kind of evens out at some point.
Every season takes a unique path. Obviously, it's one of the somewhat uncontrolled variables of our league, and so we do have to navigate at times. And so, yeah, we have a lot of guys that are sore. A lot of guys, they've played 6 games in the NFL, and so they got to navigate that. But I feel like our strength staff, our performance staff, our trainers, I think they're doing a really good job getting these guys healthy and ready to go.
Just from being able to have some time now to look over everything and go over it, can you tell us a little bit about what you came away from Spencer's performance?
Yeah, if you want to start with Spence, I thought he made some plays downfield. I think we had a few explosive plays. Certainly the first play was a great play by him. I thought his pocket movement was phenomenal throughout the game, the entire game. First play was a great example of him subtly moving in the pocket, giving ourselves an opportunity to make that play. He had a really good scramble to Alvin on 3rd and 3, 4, somewhere in that range. I thought Spence did some really good stuff. I thought he was steady. He made really good decisions. I thought he operated at a really high level. And he certainly gave us a chance. And so, at the end of the day, collectively, we weren't able to create enough plays to win the game. And so, but I thought he did some good stuff.
Kellen, you just based on that 2024 quarterback class last week. You got another one coming up this week. You're coaching one of them. Like when you were going through looking at that class as a coach, scout, whatever, what were you thinking about going into it?
We certainly thought there was a lot of depth to that class. I was in Philadelphia, so we weren't necessarily digging into it the same way that I think most other years I have, just because of where our roster was. We just traded for Kenny Pickett, and we had Tanner McKee already, and so we already had 3 guys kind of in place. And so we didn't do the deep dive, but I did certainly watch those guys, and so I think Drake's a great example of his development that he's going through. This year he's done a phenomenal job. I think Spence's taken a step. I think you can certainly see it, moving forward with Caleb. This is going to be another challenge of a guy who's getting better and better each week.
What you kind of touched on it yesterday, but what do you make of the slow starts on defense? And you kind of mentioned the lack of urgency, or is it a lack of urgency? What do you kind of see it?
Well, I would say the first 2 plays are really good plays. So I don't think it's like we're not we're not ready for the game or anything. First play, excellent play. We get a couple, 2-3 yard stops. Second play, they run a draw. DeMario's right there, pounces on it. We got this awesome 3rd down opportunity to go 3 and out to start the game, and then we missed the op. We're not connected from a coverage standpoint. We got to do a better job there, and then they get the big explosive once they kind of cross the 50. And so, I don't think it's all bad. I think it's just, hey, we got to be really, really sound from the start, and we got to take advantage of every opportunity. And that's the thing that shows up is the big plays that impact the games could show up from play 1 to play 75. It doesn't really matter when it is. They all essentially have the same value, and so you got to take advantage of each opportunity you have.
You had a couple examples of obvious coverage breakdowns, where a zone was completely cleared out or whatever it was in those first 3 plays. Has that not been a consistent problem this year? Was that something that kind of creeped up for the first time?
Yeah, it's unfortunate. I think just everyone being coordinated, being on the same page. Sometimes it's a depth thing, just making sure we have the depth in our defense. Just to, hey, teams are going to give you double moves. They're going to give you movement shot plays, and so we just got to put ourselves in better position, which it got us a couple times in this game, which it probably hasn't historically gotten us the first few weeks of the season. And so it's a great lesson for our back end guys. Those are a couple of them are younger players that are experiencing some of these things for the first time, and so it's going to be an awesome opportunity for those guys to grow. Yeah, ultimately, I think, we had 5 drives where I felt like we were moving it well, and then it was, there's obviously 2 third down miss ops, there's 2 holds, and then there's a false start. And all those, I think, occurred plus 37. You guys probably know this better than me. Plus 37 or tighter. And so there's five drives where we feel like we're doing a lot of good stuff. We're progressing it really well, and then we just, make a mistake or have a missed op, and then we just can't gather ourselves back up. And so I got to do a better job of, sustaining these drives for these guys and giving them the best opportunity to be successful because, again, there's plenty of good in there, and, we just got to find a way to capitalize on these opportunities.
Was Chase's workload kind of what you envisioned, or did you see it expand, kind of based on what you expanding?
Any of these guys coming off of injuries, I think that, there will be some fluctuation with their snap count, but I thought, that was probably the number we probably anticipated being, and so we'll see how it goes.
He came out of it okay.
Yeah, all good, yeah.
What did you make of this performance?
Yeah, I thought Chase battled. I thought his play style was right there, and so we just got to finish on a couple ops. We're really close, and we just got to finish on them, and I think he's got some opportunities just to respond the right way, and he will. And we have all the confidence in the world that he's going to make some impact plays this week and in the future.
What did you want to give Stutzman a full series?
Yeah, we just we have 2 really good linebackers, and these young guys never really get a ton of rotation opportunities, and so it felt like getting Danny a few reps has some value for your roster, and so he hasn't played a ton of snaps other than I think the Seattle game where obviously the game kind of got behind us, and so you got 2 drives in there. I think you end up with it was just 2, 3 and outs. It ended up just being 6 plays, and so. But Danny's a good player, and so I think when you give these guys some exposure, I think it helps them if something comes up.
What goes into sort of the decision of when to give him that exposure? Like, are there specific down distance kind of packages where he's built in?
His was just like a rotation thing, just get him in there. Stallbird, he's kind of got a third down situation thing that he's popped up in, and so he's been able to play a little bit of that specific role. And we go through this in a lot of different other positions too, just trying to give ourselves some rotations and some depth. And so I thought it was valuable for him. And then Pete popped back out there and kept playing, and so we're good.
What in your career has always been sort of the defining traits of the Dennis Allen defense?
Yeah, I thought really stout against the run. Everything's really connected, fits really well. They play very contested football on the back end, and so I feel like we played New Orleans at one point. It just felt like every year we were playing. We'd go up against Dennis, and so I have a ton of respect for him. I think the world of him. He does a really good job with that group. He's always done, forever. You couldn't really run the football, especially when you came down here and you had to play in the dome, and it's like, holy cow, we might run for 50 yards. And so they were battles. They're really fun battles, and so this will be fun to kind of. See what their new flavor is in Chicago. You're always evolving each and every place you go, each and every stop. It's different rosters, different constructions. And so, I think you can see their group getting better each week. And so they're going to be playing with a lot of confidence.
With the starting offensive line back together, but then playing the entire game, what do you see apart from them?
Yeah, I think the continuity is growing. And so I think there's a lot of positives with that. I think, that group's doing some good stuff. We have to sustain it. I think that's more about it moving forward now. I think we got the right guys there. We got them in the spots. They're playing some good football. Now it's just about sustaining it over the course of 4 quarters. All the passing off of games on third downs we'll continue to get better at. And just the strain and finish. We kind of talked about that from an O-line perspective. You just got to take the time clock out of your head, strain and finish all the way to the end of the play. And those guys will head in the right direction. Yeah, I thought it was an awesome performance by him. I thought he did a lot of good stuff on there. I thought it was a really good rebound game. Coming off of an injury where, you kind of don't know how that timeline's going to take its course. He responded really well. He worked really hard to get back. I thought he played really well out there. I thought he responded really well. I think, you can talk about a couple of these guys. Blake, he comes off of, the game where, he misses a couple ops and he goes out there and just kicks it awesome all game. 4 field goals, put us in position. He gets so much credit for that. And so, I think the way these guys respond is, the part that gets you excited. They respond to these adversity moments and they keep getting better.
With Caesar, when you say rebound, you mean just off the injury or based on what kind of happened in the
Just off the injury, you're coming back and, you get hurt. And, we finally had that group up in Buffalo and it's like, all right, let's roll. And then, something happens and, it's challenging. You got to deal with the unknown of when am I going to come back, and I got to put a ton of work into this thing. And I thought it was awesome by him.
What went into putting Tipton back at kick return? Were there other options, or is this what you want to do?
There were some options. Yeah, we felt like Tipton had a really good opportunity to get back there. We made some roster moves, and so just adjusted the roster a little bit. And so, Devin ended up being our third running back, and so Tipton had an opportunity to be the returner. I thought he ran hard. I thought there were some positives in there. I'm excited to see him grow in that area, and so we'll see how it all progresses.
You were pretty. You said you need to be better in the red zone. How did you feel like you handled that week and your guys' performance down there?
From last week, this week.
You just said you wasn't better. How did you feel like?
Yeah. I thought the one drive we scored a touchdown was a good example. We ran the football really well. I think we stayed on course. The other ones, you end up in third downs, you don't convert, and so we got to find a way to handle those third down situations. They were positive, they were manageable third downs. They weren't third and longs like the previous week or two. And so, obviously, I got to keep digging and finding a better solution for us. And so, because that's ultimately what we need to accomplish. We're moving the ball fine within the mixed downs. We got to finish these drives.
How valuable do you think a game like yesterday will be for Quincy and Jonas in the long run? Where they're just kind of getting the taste of it?
Yeah, we all get to grow from each experience. I mean, shoot, we're not all going to be perfect. We're not all going to come out here and play the greatest game of football we've ever played at a young age. And so these guys keep growing. They have the right mindset. They know that, hey, I get to grow from each and every experience. The good ones that may have happened 2 weeks ago, the bad ones that are the challenging ones that may come this week or the following weeks, they get to grow each and every time. And so I think they're wired the right way. They know how to respond to these situations, and they'll just keep competing.
And back to the slower starts on defense. Justin, you might have been probably talking just holistically about how it's not a scheme thing, but the players have to execute better. Do you agree with that assessment? Like, do you see anything scheme-wise that you guys might need to tweak going forward or something like that?
Yeah, I think we're always evolving. We're always trying to get better. We're trying to find the best possible solution to be successful, and so that's what we all do collectively. We try and play better, coach better, improve in every aspect, and so that's what you take from each Monday. We come in here and we look at it from a player perspective, from a coach perspective, from a preparation perspective, and say, what margins can we improve in all three categories? And so, I think everyone takes ownership of it in their own area, and that's what I love about this group is our group really takes ownership, responsibility. They want to get better. They focus on the task at hand. We're pretty much to the 24-hour rule now, so this thing's got to be move on and get to the next one. All right. Thanks, guys.